If there's one thing I know, it's that chronic childhood trauma and growing up to face chronic physical pain, they go hand in hand. I've spent the last 30 years studying to figure out how I can avoid and keep chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and arthritis pain out of my life. And I think I've figured out a few things. I live almost completely pain-free in my life now. So in this video, I'm going to explain what happens inside of the body that leads to chronic pain. So maybe you can benefit from my experience with defeating this aspect of childhood trauma. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Tamara, the therapist that's been there. I've overcome my complex PTSD and I'm here to help you gain the education that you need to have so you can do the same thing. So let's get into it. The first thing I want you to know when it comes to chronic pain is that there are two kinds of chemicals that swirl around in your body competing for attention. The first are feel-good chemicals like oxytocin, dopamine, and other chemicals that cause a relaxation response. These chemicals help us feel content, relaxed, and happy. The other kind of chemicals are stress chemicals. I know you've heard of them. They're adrenaline and cortisol. These two chemicals signal danger and anxiety within our nervous system. And when it comes to pain, there are two kinds of physical pain. There's structural pain that's caused by injury or an anatomical problem, like an ulcer or a broken bone. And there's pain that's caused by stressful situations. Yes, stressful situations cause physical pain. When someone yells at you, your fight or flight response moves away from your stomach and brain and internal organs and toward your arms and legs so you can prepare yourself to run or to fight. And when there's less blood in your stomach, it hurts. That's a really simple example, but the bottom line is that it's possible to have pain without an anatomical problem or injury because your body responds to ongoing stress with pain. The other thing I want you to know is that emotions are actually chemical reactions. Remember I said that we have feel-good chemicals and stress chemicals? Well, you feel those reactions as feelings because of the way the chemicals impact your internal organs. Think of it. When you feel love, you feel a certain way in your body. When you feel excited, that feels different. And when you feel stressed, the feeling is different still. What we now know is that physical pain and emotional pain light up the same areas of the brain. In other words, the brain responds to physical pain and emotional pain by sending the same chemical signals to the body. This means that when we keep thinking about something that's stressful or was traumatic, as in a triggered response from childhood trauma, the body will send the adrenaline and cortisol signals that tell the body that there's danger and that cause physical pain because pain is how those chemicals impact our tissues. This is why the cycle of trauma responses and emotional flashbacks can feel so discouraging. Whenever it happens, the trauma brain bathes us in danger signaling chemicals, and we can feel like we're right back in the trauma, even when we're actually safe in present time. So, when we don't heal our trigger responses or emotional flashbacks that are caused by those traumatic experiences, the result is a chemical bath that leads to physical pain that may or may not have an actual physical or organ injury attached to it. So there are two things to take away from this. The first is emotional pain feels like physical pain. The second, chronic re-experiencing of the emotional pain leads to a chronic circulation of the stress hormones adrenaline and cortisol. Listen to the impact of adrenaline and cortisol that I'm going to list here for you and how much they really look like your fight, flight, fawn, or freeze responses. A racing heart, sweating, less ability to think clearly, digestive problems, long-term inflammation in your body, compromised immune responses, dilated airways, and anxiety. This explains why childhood trauma leads to illness and chronic pain for some of us. We live in our trauma responses. We feel triggered every day, and the impact of that stress on our bodies wears away at our health. In fact, in a 2015 study that I'll link in the description below, researchers found that 1.7 million children in the United States suffer with chronic pain. I know I suffered with a lot of physical pain as a child and as a teenager. And that study goes on to say that these kids probably had pre-existing anxiety that contributed to their chronic pain. It makes sense, right? Another study says that when a person has anxiety and an injury, there's an increased likelihood that that individual will suffer chronic pain. My take on that is that being hurt by a parent and the anxiety that's associated with fear growing up because of a parent like that, this works together to increase your risk of developing chronic pain. Think about these risk factors for developing chronic pain and compare them to what you know about what you struggle with because of your childhood trauma. The risk factors are anxiety, catastrophic thinking, insomnia, depression, and pre-existing pain anywhere in the body. That last one, having pre-existing pain anywhere in the body, has to do with the reality that the brain tends to put things together when they're similar. So it's entirely possible to have suffered injury during childhood and to have your brain later interpret your emotional pain as physical pain, such that you don't even think about your physical pain as a manifestation of the emotional suffering that comes from your childhood trauma. I think one of the worst things a person can do is to tell you about something like this without also sharing what you can do about it. So let me share a little bit of hope with you. I've already told you that I've healed my own pain, and it's totally possible. But research shows that the things that reduce social pain also reduce physical pain. I know it might be hard for you to do, but seeking social support can lead to less physical pain for you. I'm sure you're asking about how you can do that. Well, there are some amazing Facebook groups with people who are also working to heal from childhood trauma, and you can find those online. I also have a community called Trauma Free Nation. The link is in the description. Something else that you can do to calm your system and reduce your physical pain is to watch this video, which will help you understand and get a handle on your stress. Finally, work on healing your childhood trauma. You can do this by watching videos on this channel. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make sure you get new videos that come out every week. You can also try EMDR therapy, and I have a video about that right here. I also recommend this book. It's the one that helped me to see how I was holding physical pain in my body instead of feeling the rage from years of trauma. I'll put the link in the description below to that book. Most of all, be curious. Healing is possible. Living pain-free is possible. Never, ever give up. Thanks for watching. I'm Tamara Ridge.